Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 20 of the Cash Flow Joe podcast, presented by Pip's Path. I'm Pip Stellick, joined by my business partner, Steve Hipple, Bradley Strack, and Sam Musa. Sam, how are you doing today? Always. Great. And Bradley, how are you, my friend?
I'm good.
Steve, what's up?
Pip, I almost don't recognize you. You're not wearing a hoodie. Who's this guy in a t-shirt?
Well, I'm trying to show the guns off.
Whoa, hey, do you got a license for those?
Sun's out, guns out. That's what I'm talking about,
Let me know when the guns show up, okay?
Yeah. And so it's a good thing that you guys are mostly listening to this because these guns are not for hire, man. That is not going to happen. And
Fast forward.
okay. So at Cashflow Joe, we're here to help beginning investors with their first transaction, and also seasoned investors on how they can make more money, they can do more deals with more leverage and a lot more security. Our company trains and mentors thousands of students all over the world to become successful real estate investors. That's what it's all about. So for more information, visit our website at pipspat.com. We have tons of free resources on there for you to get started. And we also have your personal scorecard on there. What's the personal scorecard? You fill that out. You're going to set up a one-on-one meeting with us, a consultation. We'll talk about where you're at, what you want to do, and how you want to get there so that you can get started now. That's NOW, now. That's what I'm talking about. Sam thinks I have a radio voice. Bradley thinks I have a radio face. I don't know. I don't think I have either, but that's okay. We've been talking about lease options the last couple of sessions, and I know that it's impossible to try to figure all this stuff out in a very short period of time. We have tons of different classes. We have tons of different stuff that you can watch, that you can get involved with, interactive classes, all kinds of stuff at the Path so that you can learn how to do this at a much higher level. We want to continue on with our discussion of lease options. I'm going to give you the quick, as we call it in the U.S., Cliff Notes, but we've got Canadians on the team. They call it Cole's Notes.
Who's Cole?
I don't know who Cole is.
He's a smart guy.
Must have been.
Well read.
He was Cliff's brother, apparently.
Yeah, right.
He was his Canadian brother.
Right.
I think that's what happened.
That's right, eh?
So the quick Cliff Notes version is, and Steve kind of summarized this on at the end of the last episode, but I encourage you guys to watch or listen to, is it episode 18 and 19? Make sure I have the right numbers. Is that right, Bradley?
Correct.
Yeah, this one's 20. So make sure you watch or listen to 18 and 19, and that will lead you right into 20. But we have a young couple, or they don't even have to be young, Dick and Jane. My guess is they're not very young because those are not young people's names. You don't hear the names Dick and Jane anymore. No, exactly. And I always think, I won't even get into naming your kid after a body part, but we won't even go into that.
What's a Jane?
Well, I don't know. That's what I said. I would name him Richard, but that's just me.
Vulva.
Oh, that's a Seinfeld episode. Exactly. And so anyhow, what we want to do is, set the table real quickly. Dick and Jane want to get into a house. They can't quite qualify. We're helping them get into the house they want to get into right now. They're paying a little bit of premium rent. We've told them what the price point is going to be based on what the market does, up, down, or sideways. We'll talk about all those different market cycles. Now what we want to do is talk about, how do we buy the property? How do we get into that deal? Can we use our own money and credit? The answer, of course, is yes. And I would encourage you, if you have your own money and credit, to do a lease option with your own money and credit, because now what you have is you have a template that you're going to be able to do this deal in a different way. Meaning you can show a joint venture partner how you did it, and then they can do it as well and share in the return, and they can also share in bringing the money and the credit to the deal. One of the ways, though, Bradley, and we probably need to do a whole episode on seller financing, but you can actually have the seller of the property that we're buying it from participate in that. How would that work?
So we're going to do a whole episode on seller financing and describe that. So, but for this, and when we look at a lease option, we can do sometimes what's called a property first lease option. Maybe we find a good deal. And with seller financing, basically what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at the seller of the property. So our tenant buyers, Dick and Jane, the house that they're looking to get into, rather than go through, get a mortgage, and feel smart this morning. I don't know. I feel like I look good.
I think you're smart every morning. The other comment, I don't know, but you're smart.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it. But so Dick and Jane, they want a property, and we could actually make an offer on any property. And instead of buying it outright, getting a mortgage through a broker, we could actually have the seller of that property participate. And how do we get a seller of the property to participate is, well, we show a benefit to them. We've really got their back. We're really going to help them also make more on their money and on their property than they would on their own. And we can touch them and gently caress them into doing this deal with us because we're going to show them the many benefits that they will have from doing seller financing. And so the seller financing type deal, when we get into that property, the seller is basically going to be the bank for us. And so we can get Dick and Jane's house where we're going to make a monthly payment. So we're going to say the seller of this house is, who should we use now? We've got Dick, Jane, Tom, Christine.
I'm the investor. Oh, wait, I'm the
No,
investor.
we're going to use Bill.
Bill. I like
It's
Bill.
Bill's house. Bill,
What about Alan Pegg?
Alan Pegg.
We did that yesterday.
It's
Alan
in the
Pegg are
past.
gone. Yeah, Alan Pegg are gone. I don't know where they went, but they're gone. So it's Bill's house, okay? His name is Bill Smith. So Mr. Smith, Bill Smith, is the owner of a property. And basically what we're going to do is I will set up a seller financing deal to buy the house from Bill. And in this deal, I'm going to have to pay him just like we would on a mortgage, principal and interest. So let's say that our payment to Bill on his property is going to be about $2,000 per month. So principal and interest, whatever we agree to, whatever the market would tell us what those numbers would look like. But we're going to have a monthly payment rather than us writing a check to the bank on our mortgage every month. We're going to just write a check directly to the seller of the property. So he's going to hold the note. He's still going to kind of serve as the bank in this deal. But we would then lease option that property to Dick and Jane. And if we're paying $2,000 a month in our costs on the property or our fee to the seller, we're going to be charging that premium rent to Dick and Jane. So we may be charging that $2,200 to $2,800 per month. And what we find is we're going to cash flow above what we're paying. So whether we're making that monthly payment on a traditional type of mortgage through a broker, or whether we're making it directly to the seller, it's really the same thing. We're still going to make cash flow. We can still sell the property at any time we want to Dick and Jane once they qualify. So the cool part about using seller participation is this is kind of a walk around, and this is something my wife and I did to get into properties once we started out and ran out of our own money and credit, was to do these seller finance type deals, because now we don't have to fit into that Fannie Mae Freddie box that I would with a traditional lender.
I thought it was Freddie. It was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and you said Freddie Box.
Freddie Fox?
Freddie box? Well, they're in a box.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but he said Freddie Box. I thought it. Yeah.
Well, I just put parts of the sentence together. I figured
You're so smart.
We got to get ahead to this thing here.
The
Gotcha.
great thing
Okay.
is we're so supportive. We'll always call you out on your errors and make fun of it for many, many future episodes.
At least the next 20 to 25 episodes, I'm hoping.
We're
But
supportive that way.
it could get a little dilapidated.
Or
by that.
dilapidated if you're from the Canadian side of
The
it.
Great White North.
The debate's still out. I'm not convinced I was wrong and Sam was wrong. I support my brother Sam. I'm not convinced we were wrong.
I appreciate
We stick together.
Yeah, you can both go down in flames.
And
That's fine.
any kinds of weather, because it's cold up there, they stick together.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyway, so why we like this seller participation part of a way to finance a lease option is because we can typically do this without having to go through the hoops of getting a mortgage. We're not going to have our credit checked like we normally would. So a lot of benefits there, and we're able to get into deals much more creatively when we can do that seller participation.
Oh, yes, really, we can. Yes, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to you, Bradley.
That was some good stuff. You should have been paying attention. You might have learned something.
Well,
So-
thankfully, you can rewatch all of these episodes.
That's awesome. Yeah, but he's 1,000,000% correct. You can utilize the seller, and it's always funny because we're on all the different social media stuff, and we had somebody arguing with us, not arguing, telling us that there's no way you can do real estate without your own money, without your own credit. And I'm thinking to myself, well, then you're not a very educated investor. You should maybe not say those things if you don't know what you're talking about, because Bradley's just talking about using the seller. You could do this with none of your own money and none of your own credit. Steve's going to talk about a different way to not use your own money and your own credit. You're still going to get into the deal, but you're going to use a joint venture partner. Steve, enlighten us.
Joint ventures or JVs or JVPs. Some people, I just call them JVs or joint ventures, but great opportunity to grow your business with joint venture partners, because what are the challenges with buying property? The challenges are, having the down payment money you need. Is it 20% down payment? Is it 25% down payment? Some people say, well, I'll just put it in my personal name. I'll have the mortgage broker check the box for personal. No, you're going to be a professional property investor here. So do it the right way. Get the 20% down payment. Get the 25% down payment. Let's not encourage people to do the wrong thing or, be, deceiving or even illegal. I understand mortgage fraud is illegal. Let's not even go there. Let's not entertain it. So you've got money partners, get a joint venture, and their job is to bring the money and maybe the credits. So back to the challenges. Quite often, money is a challenge for buying property. So joint ventures can solve that. Also, credit can be a challenge for buying property. So if you've already bought 3, 4, 5, 10 properties, one day the bank's going to say, Pip, you've bought 10 properties. You're a little too risky. Even though it makes no sense, even though he's got a portfolio, he's cash flow positive, he's doing good property management, he wants to buy more, and he's got the money to buy more. The bank says, no, you're too risky. We can't take that risk, but we'll give you one. They'll give somebody money to buy the second investment property. Give money to the first investment property would have no track record, but eventually they cap you on mortgages, which is silly. Capping an experienced profitable property investor on mortgages is silly, but they do. So anyway, I won't get on that rant. I think I already did, but the challenges are down payment and credit. So when you start working with the joint venture partners, you can have your joint venture partner bring the down payment money. You can actually have for lease options, you can have your joint venture partner bring the credit. So that's going to solve a lot of your problems for growth and getting more properties for lease options. But with the down payment, you're going to need probably 20% down payment. Have your money partner bring that. You're going to need closing costs. Going to be some legal costs, some other costs, miscellaneous along the way. So have your money partner bring that. You're going to have a bank account and something in your bank account. Well, if your money partner brings the 20% down payment closing costs, your bank account is still at zero, because essentially until you get a rent payment. So I would suggest have your money partner bring 2 months or even 3 months worth of carrying costs on that property and have them put that money in the bank account. So if your carrying costs on a property are $2,000 a month, let's have them bring 2 or 3. Let's have them bring 3 months worth of carrying costs. So they have them bring an extra $6,000 to that deal. So they're bringing the 20% down payment, paying the legal fees, and $6,000 in carrying costs. Because what happens is, let's say you have a month. Let's say for whatever reason the tenant can't pay you. Let's say something happens to the property. You've got $6,000 in the bank account as a little bit extra money. Because what's going to happen is if we don't get a rent payment for whatever reason, maybe it's late or bank error, whatever happens, you've still got some money in there. Otherwise, you're going to have to bring that money yourself. I've worked with students who had their money partner bring the 20% down payment, but they didn't have the money partner bring closing costs or the extra money for the bank account. So the investor or the student had to do that. I said, no, the money partner brings all the money. That's their job. Credit. Can the money partner bring the credit? Of course they can bring the credit. So they can bring money, credit, combination of that. So with lease options, I would just have the money partner buy the home. They're bringing the money, they're bringing the credit. Just have them buy the home, have them apply for the mortgage, have them apply to purchase the property, apply for the mortgage, and they buy the home. It's in their name. Yeah, it's in their name. They own the home. So they actually get the security of owning the home. With that, so if you're not bringing any money to the deal, if you're not bringing any credit to the deal, Pip, Bradley, Sam, how many? If I'm bringing no money, I'm bringing no credit. How many deals can I do?
More
all
than
of
one.
them,
right? What's that?
All of them.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that.
all of them.
More than one.
But if I'm bringing no money, no credit, I can do unlimited deals because now I'm using other people's money. To the person who commented on our socials about you can't do no money down real estate, you can't do money, you can't do whatever the comment was, like the naysayers. There's always naysayers. That's fine. Whether you think you can, whether you think you can't, either way you're right. But we've been doing them this way for many years. My good friend Alfonso back home, he's done over 200, is it over 250 lease option deals back home in his corporation using none of his own money, none of his own credit. So tell him you can't do it. Tell us you can't do it. Let's talk about Robert Kiyosaki. We talk about his book quite often. You think Robert Kiyosaki's using his own money to buy properties? You think he's raised capital year after year. He's always raised capital. So whether you think you can, whether you think you can't, either way, you're right. But the joint venture is so powerful because you can grow and scale your business exponentially. That's right, Pip. I use the word exponentially again. Woo! I know it's one of your favorite words.
I like that word. I've never used the word either way.
Yeah.
It's either, but that's okay.
No,
you can say it either way, I guess.
I can say either way.
I know. Yeah. You can say it either way.
Either. By the end of the day, I'll be confused, not knowing how I'm supposed to say it.
Well, you always say either. Mm-hmm. I always say either.
Either's the cool way.
Well, you are cool.
Thank you.
With joint venture partners, and obviously it depends on the deal, but you can pay them anywhere from 10, 20, 30, 40% return on their money. And so to find a joint venture partner, you show them the money. To me, it's not as hard as you think, and it's not going to be the people that you think. A lot of times people think, I got to find my family and friends. Well, your family and friends probably know you already, which means what? They don't think you know what you don't know. And people that just see the deal, we show them the money, the Jerry Maguire mentality. We talked about this in previous podcasts, is that if I can show somebody the money, there's plenty of money out there. And if I said to the average investor, if I said to the average person, and I don't care where you find this person, it may be a coworker, they may be at church, they may be somewhere else that you know them from, and I said to them, I can get you a 10, 15, 20% return on your money. You never have to talk to a tenant. You never have to fix a toilet. There's a lot of people out there that are going, hey, I know property's a good investment. I just don't want the headache of being a landlord. I don't want the headache of being a landlord. So there's opportunities out there with this strategy to get other people's money to make it happen. Now, with that being said, we've talked a lot in the last 2 episodes about selling with the lease option. Well, Bradley talked about buying using seller participation. Steve talked about buying using other people's money and other people's credit. There's a whole nother way that you can buy property called lease option. I know some of you guys are going, what? I thought you were selling with lease option. Why do we like lease option so much? Is we can purchase with a lease option and we can sell with a lease option. We can do it on both sides. And Sam's going to talk about that. The key is we can take somebody who's in a bad situation and lease option the property from them. I call it the perfect tenant program. I heard this years ago. If I said to you, let's say you had a property for rent or for sale, and I said, I will rent it from you for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I will pay you premium rent, and I will take care of all the maintenance and repairs. And I will pay you this amount for your property, or whenever we exercise the option. You may be very interested in what I have to say because you still have control of the property, and you can take it back if I don't pay you. The key is it's not a seller financing deal. It's called a sandwich lease option. Now, I know some of you guys are in different states going, well, Pip, in Texas, I don't think we can do this. In North Carolina, they got some crazy laws. Well, like I said on the last episode, you can't make butter with a toothpick. I'm going to say that, I think, on every episode moving forward.
Great.
Yeah, it's such a great saying. And so
really,
we want to make sure, I think it's a great saying. You don't have to think it is. I think it is. And so what we want to talk about is that we want to be legal in all. Bradley, have we done an episode on the 7 rules of investing?
It's in the pipeline.
It's in the pipeline.
You keep talking about it, but we haven't seen one yet.
Well, we definitely need to do an episode on the 7 rules of investing. One of our rules is always be legal. So let's use Texas as an example. Do they have some different lease option laws than all 49 other states? Yes, they do. And we have to be legal. And so we can show you exactly how to do it in Texas in the legal way. It's not a trying to get around it. It's about being legal. It's just like a speed limit law. If the speed limit is 65 on one highway and it's 80 or 75 on the other, if you're going more than 75 miles an hour or if you're going 75 miles an hour on the 75 mile an hour highway, you're fine. But if you're going 75 on the 65, you could get a ticket. So we have to be legal in everything that we do. And so just like this, laws change from state to state. We always want to make sure we uphold the law and we're always legal. Turn to the person beside you and say, always be legal.
Always be legal.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So, Sam, what are some other creative ways where you could actually buy with a lease option?
Yes, so we can actually individuals that are renting out properties, we could approach the owner of the property, and what we can do, as Pip said, is something called a sandwich lease option, where we do an option contract, an option to purchase the home from the owner, who's the landlord, who doesn't want to. He's a tired landlord. He doesn't want to deal with the rent anymore and deal with tenants. And because we know and we're educated and we know how to screen tenants and put the right people in, and we have people that want to be homeowners, we can go to somebody who's just a regular landlord renting out a place and do a rent to own with them, with us. So we have the option to purchase. We take care of the rent. We take care of the maintenance. We take care of the repairs. And what we do is we put someone else in the property who wants to be a homeowner. So we don't want to actually own the property, but we want to control the property. And for us to have the ability to offer that opportunity to someone else who wants to be a homeowner, we can do an option, purchase option, or an option agreement with them, right? So they're doing a rent to own with us, and we're doing a rent to own with the landlord who actually owns the property. In this case, we call it a sandwich lease option because you're in the middle, right? You're doing a lease option with the landlord and a lease option. The tenant buyer is doing a lease option with you. Pip, do you want to do some clarity here? Is that what
No,
I'm saying?
I was just getting hungry. You're talking about sandwiches. Maybe I'll put butter on my sandwich.
We need a couple podcasts just for sandwich lease options. It's a cool strategy because you're actually not purchasing anything. So if you heard that thud, that was me creating a thud, and this was what do they call those, tremors? Yeah, there you go. That was the rest of the crew. But anyways. So you can also do this in a foreclosure. Somebody's foreclosing on getting foreclosed on a property. Again, what you do is you come in and you do a lease option with them. So you're renting to own the property from them. So you can rent. So someone can rent to own the property from you, right? So you're in the middle, and what you're ultimately doing is you're solving problems. And the more problems you solve, the more money you're going to make. So in the landlord situation, I'm solving his or her problem because they don't have to worry about tenants anymore. They don't have to worry about repairs. They don't have to worry about maintenance on the property. And I'm solving the person who wants to become a homeowner, the tenant buyer. So the tenant buyer, I have a lease option with the tenant buyer has a lease option with me, the option to purchase. I'm solving their problem. And guess what? They're taking care of the maintenance. They're taking care of the repairs. I'm in the middle. I solve two problems. I make money. And the yield on that, obviously, if I have no money, no credit exposed in this real estate deal, the yield's going to be an infinite return. It's unbelievable that you can do this, but absolutely legal. Follow the law in the state and the municipality or county or city that you're in. Make sure that you follow it. But absolutely something you can do anywhere and everywhere there is property. You just have to have the right contracts, the right agreements, the right guidance as you step through this. This is a more complex deal, absolutely. You want to make sure you're doing it right to protect yourself and everyone else involved. So if this is something that you want to get involved in, or you want to step into real estate where you have no money and no credit exposed, sandwich lease options are an awesome opportunity. Dealing with, again, single family homes, the majority of the market, you want to get involved and understand lease options.
So when we stack more strategies on top of one another, we make more money. That's what it's all about. We solve bigger problems, we make more money. Now, we have gone through a lot of this, and I know we don't even have a lot of numbers put together on it. And I know in the podcast world, putting numbers on things gets a little bit crazy, but let's just quickly try to summarize those numbers. So let's say that we bought the property for $400,000. So we didn't even get it at a discount. We bought it for $400,000, and 2 years from now, we're going to sell it for $440,000. Do we have to have a realtor to sell it to, Dick and Jane? No, so we don't have that cost of it right there. What did we do over the last couple of years? We've paid down the mortgage. Who's actually paid down the mortgage? The tenant buyer has paid down the mortgage with the amount that they've paid. OPM comes in so many different forms. your tenant's lease payment, your tenant's rent payment is really OPM. Their non-refundable option consideration is OPM. Steve said you could use that for many other things, and he's exactly right. So we have made X amount of dollars on this deal. In this instance, it's going to be way north of $40,000 in 2 years because you also have positive cash flow on the amount that you make every month plus the mortgage pay down. And so you can make a great amount of money. So let's just think about this real quickly. It's not hard. Is if we made, and I'm going to keep the math simple, if we just made a simple $50,000 over these 2 years on this lease option, if you're buying a $400,000 house, and we could use our own money, we could use a joint venture partner, we could be even more creative like Bradley and Sam, where we're lease optioning it or using seller participation, but let's just use a joint venture partner. And we make $50,000 on this deal. And I know I've said this a gabillion times. These guys have said it, repeated what I've said, and I've heard it for years. 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing. So if you're buying a $400,000 house, real simple concept, we're going to need roughly 20% down to buy that. Now, I'm not real good with the math, but what's 20% of $400,000?
$79,999.
Wow.
$80K.
So $80,000. Now remember, when we're buying an investment property, we probably need 20% down. When the homeowner is going to live in it, they can get in for 3, 4, 5, 6% or lower down payment. We'll talk more about those as we get into future episodes as well. But I know this is hard to do the math in kind of a theory without it being written down. But obviously, these are why we have classes. This is why we have the support that we do at pipspath.com, is to go through all this stuff with you. Now, with that, we made $50,000. We made $50,000 over the course of 2 years. Let's say we bring in, just to make the math easy, we bring in $20,000 of extra closing costs and stuff, so the JV partner brought $100,000 into that deal. That's more than they would need, but that just makes my math a lot easier. And we made $50,000 over the course of 2 years. What's $50,000 divided by $100,000 of money out of pocket?
50,000.
0.5.
It's 50%. That's
right.
exactly right. So let's divide that. Let's divide that by 2 years, because we generally do what with return on investment? We do it over a yearly basis. So 50% divided by 2 years is what? 25%. I'm trying to keep the math really simple. So each year we make 25% return on investment. If we give the joint venture partner half of that, they're going to make $12,500 per year, or 12.5% on the money that they've invested. They never have to talk to a tenant. They never have to fix a toilet. And they're making a 12.5% return on their money backed by property. What's the international sound of money?
Cha-ching.
So simple. This is how this works. That's a great ROI. What is our return on investment? And do not think it's 12.5%, because how much of our own money did we put into that deal? Zero. Let's do that math. You can look at any calculator. Get your calculator out. Get your phone out. Whatever. If you carry a calculator still above and beyond your phone, you truly are a different breed.
Got to get me one of those watch calculators.
Exactly. So you've got your calculator. Take 12,500 and divide that by 0, because that's how much you put into it. And I don't know what your phone says, but mine comes up as an error. Apple can't even get that one right.
Haha.
You didn't think that was funny? I thought that was funny.
I think it's funny.
Do any of you guys have a Samsung, or you all have Apple phones?
Apple.
Apple iPhones.
There's
okay.
other phones besides iPhones? I didn't know that.
Oh, let's not get into that conversation. But if you do it on a different phone, it may come up to be an infinite return, because technically 12,500 divided by 0, you can't even do that. Which means me as the investor, if I got a joint venture partner, I just got an infinite return. Cha-ching. We've helped people get into property. We can do it multiple different ways, and we'll break down seller financing in more detail. I'm guessing that's more than one episode too when it's all said and done. We'll even give you a quiz on seller financing.
I think they'll do okay on it.
Yeah,
I'm nervous.
Well, I bet you are nervous. And then Sam was talking about sandwich lease option. We'll obviously probably take multiple episodes on that one because that is truly, that's my favorite strategy because you can get into property without money and credit and you can help multiple people, as Sam was saying. So this has been our third episode on lease option. A lot of stuff going on.
Been a trifecta.
It's been a trifecta of
Triple
fun.
threat.
Yeah, and I think in all episodes now we've talked about you can't make butter with a toothpick.
Such
that-
wisdom.
That is, yeah. You guys are going to go look that up and you're going to go, where did that come from?
I'm still wondering.
Yeah, it's a great concept. And so when we look at these things, we look at helping people and making money along the way. So that is the third episode of Lease Option Rent to Own. A lot of stuff. Obviously, if you have questions about that, you know how to get in touch with us. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But on the next episode, we're going to talk about leverage. Leverage is how we do more with less. The wealthiest people in the world use leverage. Think about that. When you buy stock in a company, what is that company doing? They're leveraging your money to help them make more money. And we'll get into all that stuff. But before we get out of here today, just want to say again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform works for you. For more investing information from us, go to our website. Go to pipspath.com. That's how you get in touch with us. Follow us on social media. That's Pips Path to Property and Cash Flow Joe podcast on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So I want you guys to leave us a comment, give us a follow, and we will see you all on the path.